Church, if McKinley is going to hopscotch and Macarena around the truth, the least he could do is make it somewhat convincing. I got my notes. I hope y'all got yours. Let's get on into this damn mess. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me out there? To my returning church members, baby, welcomes. And to all my new people, please make sure to smash that subscribe button and to also click that bell notification so you are notified every time I decide to upload a video. Now, baby, listen, my outfit today is giving basic church because my spirit has been thrown into chaos. Okay, listen, y'all know I have the burden and the demon of procrastination on me. Okay, and to make a long story short, in terms of our church announcements real quick, y'all, I have a month to get my real estate stuff together and out the door. Okay, so I want to send a sincere thank you to all of y'all for watching the videos, okay, for commenting and for basically just supporting this channel. Okay, I truly appreciate y'all. I am so backed up in responding to comments, okay, because I am busy trying to keep my real estate dreams afloat. Okay, so during this period, church, please just be patient with me and y'all talk amongst yourselves, church, for the time being, but I promise I love you and I'll be back. Okay, I will be back. Now let's get on into some hot topics, right? Because a lot of stuff happened in this episode that we can talk about, right? So first off, let's get into McKinley sliding into Gina's DMs, right? So listen, I did not have high hopes for the McKinley and the Airris scene, okay? I said this about to be some bull, okay? We already know that he's trying to holler at Gina. What could McKinley tell us to try to fix this situation, okay? And McKinley says he jumped into Gina's DMs in the effort to talk to one of her friends who's out his league. Listen. Shakespeare has a saying, okay? And I reference this so many times in my videos, but Shakespeare has a saying and it's called, "The lady doth protest too much," okay? Watch people that take forever to try to explain themselves in a situation because 9 times out of 10, they trying to cover up some lie or trying to, pull the wool over your eyes, okay? McKinley, you said so many words and said nothing at the same time, okay? Listen. The reason why you hopped into Gina's DMs, I'm going to give you, I'll go out on a limb and say that maybe you did want to talk to her friend that's out your league, okay? But let's be completely serious, okay? That was plot line B, okay? That was a secondary plot line. Plot line A, or the primary plot line, is you hopped in Gina's DMs in order to establish some sort of relationship with her or some sort of, commonality or some sort of contact with her outside of the process, okay? So just call it what it is, okay? Because by your own estimation in your confessional, if they say no on decision day, you would have no problem hopping in Gina's DMs again to set up some sort of date, okay? So listen, I don't know who McKinley thought he was convincing or pulling the wool over whose eyes, but it definitely wasn't ours, church, okay? So try harder, McKinley, try harder next time. Second thing, okay, and this is not germane to the plot, it was just something I was, thinking about. When they was at the Mayweather gym, okay, was that Floyd Mayweather gym? Y'all drop down in the comments and let me know whether it was Floyd Mayweather's gym, okay? Because if it's not, somebody needs to call up Floyd because he has some lawsuits to do, okay? They had Mayweather shirts, Mayweather on the bag, Mayweather on the front of the thing, and if Mayweather is synonymous with boxing, then it would seem to me that somebody who's not related to Floyd Mayweather or some sort of way tangentially in his circle couldn't do something like this without his permission, okay? So church, y'all drop down in the comments and let me know if Mayweather is affiliated with this boxing gym or if, he needs to ready his lawyers immediately because that was something that was bothering me. Now let's move on to our next hot topic. And let's talk about, the men and the women's get together, right? So in terms of the men's get together, let's talk about Airris doesn't tell Clint about his whole talk with McKinley. Y'all listen. I think what we see here is the age-old question of, do you tell your friend something that will potentially hurt them, okay? And I kind of have 2 factors that I will go through in terms of my decision-making process. Number 1, how long have I known the person, okay? And number 2, is this information germane to help them make a decision, okay? So in terms of number 1, if you let the truth be told, I don't really know you in terms of, Airris knowing Clint, okay? I only have really known you for 2 months. Listen, you could literally have a whole friendship, situationship, relationship, and be done with the person in a week, okay? So 2 months is not really a good amount of time to establish a worthwhile, secure friendship where you would feel like you could come back and forth, to this person and depend on them in a fruitful way, okay? So listen, in terms of that factor, I wouldn't have told him, okay? And in terms of the second factor, in terms of basically, is this information germane to the situation? Listen, it's a foregone conclusion that Clint and Gina are going to say no on decision day, okay? And because of that, there is no germane reason for Airris to bring it up, okay? Because it doesn't sway the decision-making process one way or the other, okay? So if it's not important to the conversation, then I say let sleeping dogs lie and let it come out at the damn reunion. Okay, listen, at that point, his name is Bennett. He ain't in it. His name is Paul, and that's between y'all. And let's move on to the next one. That's really the only thing I want to talk about with the men's get together. In terms of the women's get together, y'all, let's talk about this contrived situation, okay? Sometimes we have such a conflict on this show in terms of the experiment and in terms of doing TV, okay? And one thing you will never convince me of, okay, is that bar scene where the dudes were at the table and they came over to talk to the wives wasn't contrived, okay? Listen, if you let the truth be told, the light-skinned dude that was over there at the table, wasn't that the same one that was doing the boxing exercise with Airris and McKinley? Okay, I knew he looked familiar. And when the one dude was talking about that, he had a relationship with the gym or he boxes or something like that, I said, this is a contrived scenario, okay? So call it what it is. And listen, just to give y'all some behind the scenes, stuff, not in terms of me knowing in terms of what, happens on this show, but TV it's a process, okay? You have to go through releases. You have to get people to sign off on stuff if they want to be on camera and for you to use their footage and their likeness and whatever the case may be, okay? So don't purport it to be a random occurrence or a random scenario when y'all have basically positioned these events to happen, okay? It's literally like those, Maury baby daddy episodes where they put the baby daddy in the room with the random woman and then next thing you know, she's trying to trap him into something, okay? It's a contrived scenario, okay? Now let me get up off this soapbox and talk about exactly what I was going to talk about, right? Let's talk about, in terms of the women's get together, what each wife does with the different bar men, okay? I thought that was an interesting conversation, right? So let's go down the list. Kirsten, I was so proud of Kirsten, okay? Because when that man asked Kirsten, what are you focused on? Me and Kirsten said the exact same thing at the exact same time. Kirsten said, my husband. Good job, Kirsten, okay? Stand by your man and don't be swayed by these barmen and these contrived scenarios, okay? Next down the line, Gina. If somebody was talking to Gina, it didn't look like she was receptive to it because they didn't have a special circumstance or a special video that showed exactly what Gina was doing with the men. So I guess maybe Gina told these people, listen, I'm about to say no in a day or two. I'll call you then, okay? And she decided not to get herself into something that was going to be shown up on tape at the reunion or the Where Are They Now or to get her into some trouble later. Gina's plan A is to promote this salon, and anything that comes into conflict with that must be negated and must be eliminated, okay? Now let's move on to Jasmine. So, and I want to save Jasmine for last. Let's do Nicole first, right? So, Nicole, good job on defending your beta man, okay? Listen, stand by your man just like Kirsten did, okay? Stand by him. And when them people was trying to say he was a beta, she was like, you know what? We are both betas, okay? And listen, betas are dangerous because if you get two betas together, one of them gonna kill the other, okay? So don't, just because he's agreeable and just because he's nice, do not down him, okay? So good for Nicole. In terms of Jasmine, listen. Jasmine, I think that the dude, he kind of looked like Airris, right? Like he was attractive and, he had the whole tats and stuff going on. But listen, if you think about it, so does Airris at home. I think what he provided for you was the attention and the kind of chemistry that you're not getting at home, right? So I fully understand being receptive to the attention, okay? But listen, I'm glad you didn't give that man the time of day because if you let the truth be told, y'all listen, if y'all don't take anything else from what I say today, please take this to heed, okay? Beware of people that try to buy you with things or try to impress you with things, okay? That man stood there and started flashing his car keys, right? And I think I saw a comment last week where somebody was saying, what does 740 mean? So 740 is meaning BMW, right? So a BMW 740, which is the 7 Series BMW, which is, if you want to take it to, mundane terms, it's the big one. It's the most expensive one before you get to like their SUVs and stuff. So essentially, he was trying to impress her saying, I got the 740 outside. I got the BMW outside. I got money. That's just one of them. You should be impressed by this. Beware of people that try to buy you things, okay? Try to impress you with buying you things and also try to impress you with showing you things, okay? Listen. You have to be secure in yourself to know who you are, okay? Because you cannot be swayed by shiny objects. And I know it was kind of like the whole dating thing he was trying to do in terms of trying to impress people, but what it really gave was overcompensation, okay? And I'm not calling anything over him. I'm just telling you how it made me feel, and y'all drop down in the comments and let me know if you agree, okay? But the whole I got the 740 outside, that was a complete turn off, because do you think she's swayed by that? Do you think she hasn't been exposed to certain things in her life? Do you think that she's, just receptive to shiny objects? It was just a fool. And I think even though he provided her with good energy and good chemistry in terms of what she's been missing at home, he also gave her a glimpse of what this dating life could be if she decides to say no on decision day or if she decides to get back in the dating pool, okay? And listen, if you let the truth be told, I don't think there's much out in them dating pools right now. And she should probably, if she says no on decision day, she should just be by herself for a little bit. Learn you, get in touch with you, and then figure out what you want and then move forward. I think it's a very bad thing to go from one situation and jump head first into another, okay? So I look at people sideways who say no on decision day, and then next thing you know, they're in a relationship with somebody else. The rebound relationships rarely work out. Now let's move on to our general couple updates, and let's talk about Kirsten and Shaq, right? And first and foremost, let's talk about this recording of the music, right? They went down and they recorded this CD to basically chronicle their experience and, their relationship over the course of this experiment. First off, I thought it was such an amazing, activity to do and something that I never really thought of doing. Listen, y'all know that I love to sing, okay? I will break out in song, and I'm all about, even if you can't sing, make a joyful noise, okay? And that's what Kirsten was doing. But Kirsten, do not let that lady gash your head up, okay? Listen, she kept saying at the end, she said, keep singing, Kirsten, keep singing, okay? Listen. If you let the truth be told, the level of technological wizardry, audio mixing, pitch correction that she did to make you sound good down to that damn song, listen, that lady deserved a Grammy for musical production. Okay, no, I'm just joking. You weren't that bad, Kirsten, okay? But don't let that lady gas your head up and don't quit your day job, okay? But I thought it was a really nice activity. Now let's move on to Kirsten's dad not wanting to film. And y'all gonna be mad at me because I'm finna go halfway off the deep end, okay? Kirsten's dad doesn't want to film. Listen, and y'all know everything I'm about to say is allegedly because y'all ain't suing me. Kirsten's dad doesn't want to film. Listen, I wouldn't want to film either. Listen, if I have allegedly absconded with the church's funds and I'm, hiding out on the midnight train to Georgia till the block stops being hot, I wouldn't want to film either because listen, if the people was after you for your past crimes, okay, they only got your past image and your past likenesses and your past mugshot, okay? You don't want to film in the current for them to get your current image, your current likeness, find out what you currently look like and try to find you for your current mugshot, okay? So I wouldn't want to film either. No, let me listen. Let me get off of that, okay? Listen. I'm sure Kirsten's dad is a very nice man and is not on the midnight train to Georgia and absconding with the church funds. But I still want to know the scandal in which the parents divorced, okay? Because that was how this whole saga with me talking about Kirsten's dad on the law and on the run from the law kind of came about, okay? So if anybody knows Kirsten and her family, y'all drop down in the comments and provide me some tea and some information just for my own benefit. But listen. Eventually, Shaq met the dad off camera. So it was the dad, and I guess he's remarried because it was Kirsten's stepmom, okay? I think that's great. Listen, I'm with Shaq. Why couldn't this have happened, a month ago, a month and a half ago? If it was so easy, if the man didn't want to film, and I understand that it's a show and it's production that we're doing, but hell, y'all have so much footage, okay? One piece of footage that y'all don't have is not gonna make or break the show, okay? So I'm glad that Kirsten finally realized that Shaq is really big on family. Shaq is really big on that kind of commonality. And you keeping your larger family from him is only going to do more harm in your relationship than good, okay? So I'm glad that he met that man. I'm glad that he can loosely kind of see the potential for him to be a father figure, because as we know, Shaq wasn't really, involved with his father. His father wasn't really involved in his life. And he's kind of yearning for that, which I think kind of, explains his affinity for family, all things togetherness. And I think if Kirsten can lean into that and finally start providing Shaq with some of the things that he's been asking for, I think that, she'll basically start meeting his expectations in terms of what he is saying that he's lacking in the relationship, right? So good job, Shaq. Good job, Kirsten's daddy, for resurfacing and not being on a run from the law, but, not wanting to be on camera because the block is still hot and he don't want people to see his current image. Okay, I'm moving off it. I promise I'm moving off it. Now, let's talk about decision day estimation. So just in terms of continuation of what I just said, okay, for Kirsten, I really don't think she has any concerns. Like, I think that her whole thing was, I want him to spend more time with me. His whole thing of not wanting to spend a whole bunch of time with her, or slightly pulling back rather, was because his needs weren't being met. For the lifetime of their relationship, it was the, Shaq needs to meet Kirsten's expectations show, okay? And finally, Kirsten is showing up and providing Shaq with some of the things that he has been asking for. And so in doing that, I think that, I agree with the experts, okay? I think that there's enough good in this situation, despite the little idiosyncrasies that Kirsten does have in terms of being taken care of and keeping her feet up and not putting money into the household. Those things can be worked through, okay? But I think there's enough good there for them both to say yes on decision day, and just to see how it can progress outside of the experiment, okay? So I think that they should both say yes, and I think that they are both going to say yes. Now let's move on to Gina and Clint. And let's talk about this whole horses, the equestrian thing, and the picnic come to Jesus, right? So, despite having this whole tumultuous meeting with the experts last time, Clint decides to make the best out of a bad situation and takes her to this, like, I guess, not horse farm, but this horse pasture where you ride the Cadillac of horses and you can sit down and, have a nice scenery and lunch and stuff like that, right? So it was essentially a picnic come to Jesus. So after they got the activity and the pleasantries out the way, it was time to get down to business. Let me tell y'all something. One thing I respect Gina for in that moment is that she stayed 10 toes down in what she thought, okay? What she thought, her standing, what she meant, XYZ, okay? Listen, a lot of times you can have a flip-flopper, somebody that goes back and forth, somebody that can't stand on what they, believe or stand on what they said before, but she stayed 10 toes down in it, okay? But what I like that she did was that she also said, I didn't mean to make you feel bad in terms of sharing my truth, okay? There's nothing wrong with you. It's just not compatible with me and how I see myself, okay? So I think there's strength in that. Now, do I think that, Clint took it to heart? Yes, I think that he believed her, I guess, she did actually apologize. So he believed her apology. He believed her reasoning. I just truly wish that he would have held her feet to the fire just a little bit more in terms of the things that she did that kind of contributed to where their relationship is currently, right? Like, it takes two to tango. This is not just the blame Clint show, because this was a collaborative effort in terms of how y'all both got here, okay? So personally, I would have wished that Clint had held her feet to the fire just a little bit more, because if you think about it, listen, y'all don't really have anything to lose, okay? Y'all are both going to say no on decision day, so you might as well just get it out on Front Street, okay? Listen, we are so far away from my dream of Married at First Sight presents Gina and Clint when the salon met the kitchen. That is not even funny, okay? So if that's not going to happen, then y'all might as well get the clarity and the closure that y'all need and say everything that you need to say, okay? Now, in terms of the decision day estimation, I literally just said it. They're both going to say no. They both should say no. Just because you've, figured out a way to be good friends during this time and kind of recycle and make, lemonade out of a lemon based situation doesn't mean that y'all have the longevity to continue in a marriage. Okay, so both say no, and I'm good with that. And I guess that clears the runway for McKinley to do all his foolishness. Let's move on to Jasmine and Airris. And let's talk about this expert sit down and talk about them being enriched by each other's lives. Y'all, what a beautiful moment, and what a beautiful question just in terms of the forum that creates, right? Like, how do you feel your life has been impacted, improved, whatever, by this person, okay? And for Airris, he says that she calms my social anxiety. Y'all, social anxiety is real, honey. Listen, ask Summer Walker, okay? Listen, that was probably why she didn't want to perform all those damn years, because, she just didn't feel comfortable being in social environments. And that's real. Airris said, listen, whenever I'm, in a social environment or down to a bar or something, I always feel like I have to have a drink just to calm myself down. But when Jasmine's around, I don't feel like I need to do that. I can be myself. And that's a huge thing. If someone adds to your life, if someone adds to your peace, that's something that should be, held close. It should be guarded. It should be met with, the utmost respect, okay? Because just by her very presence, you're more calm in terms of just your daily life. So that was beautiful. And in terms of her, y'all, we know the impact that he's had. So in a roundabout way, even though he did it in a kind of bad way in the beginning in terms of telling his truth, but him telling his truth and him kind of pulling out her true emotions, enabled her to really start speaking up for herself, to be okay with confrontation, to be okay with saying how she feels in a certain situation, okay? So I think that's a beautiful thing. And if y'all don't say yes on decision day, y'all have both found something beautiful in each other. Airris has found that intimacy can be created not just from sex, it can be created from different interactions with people, right? Different closeness and different intimate connections that are not based on being down to the bed with somebody, okay? And Jasmine has learned how to kind of undo those past traumas in terms of her not seeing her parents fight when she was younger and not knowing how to kind of express herself or express her distaste in a situation and explain herself effectively in terms of what she actually wants, right? So good job on both of their fronts. And it was really nice to know that despite everything, they both have definitely enriched each other's lives, right? In terms of the decision day estimation, y'all, I could truly see it going either way, okay? I can see them both saying yes. I can see them both saying no. I can see a scenario where one person says yes and one person says no. Listen, in terms of what I think, I think that there's enough good here to see what it looks like outside of the experiment, okay? But when it comes to Airris and Jasmine, I'm a little bit cautious because Airris has said a lot about let's see what it looks like after decision day. I think, we have something here that we can work on. I think that after decision day, especially for Airris and Jasmine, you introduce a lot of variables, honey, to kind of make a segue from my own life. You introduce a lot of chaos potential, okay? Say what you want, but the Married at First Sight experiment, it's a very secure, controlled environment, right? Yet, yes, your normal life is going on about you, okay? But you have somebody telling you where you need to be, what you need to do. You're filming this day. You have a session with this person. You have a session with the experts. You'll have a therapy session. Like, it's a very kind of controlled environment, okay? And separate from that, and that point and that experiment being removed, you introduce a lot of chaos variables into the fold, right? And so if you're already dealing with a situation where you're not supremely attracted to this person in terms of how Airris feels about Jasmine's body type, then now that you don't have, the harbinger of the experts kind of keeping you in check in terms of keeping those intrusive thoughts at bay in terms of I can go down to a bar and do this, I can meet somebody else, I can open up an app and start meeting people on the side. I think that it creates a situation that, he might regress into old behavior and to past behavior, right? Now, I would hope that during this time, he's learned tricks and tools and triggers and kind of wants to work through his, past, activity or past triggers. But people are human and they can succumb to bad behavior when given the opportunity, okay? So, I'm not calling anything over Airris. I'm just saying, if you decide to say yes, Jasmine, at the point in time where your needs and your expectations are not being met, say no, okay? Say no and get out, okay? But I think in terms of their decision day estimation, personally, I think that they should say yes, okay? Y'all know that my feelings on Jasmine and Airris have kind of changed. I was completely against it. I was like, you need to get away. That whole him not being attracted to you is insurmountable. But it just seems like the fringe benefits and their fringe relationship has kind of won me over in terms of the potential for them to go the distance, right? Given the fact that, just like Jasmine says, he has to put in some work, okay? I'm in this as long as he is, right? So for decision day, I think that y'all should say yes, just for the mere fact that there's potential there. But Jasmine, listen to me very carefully. The moment that your expectations are not being met and you feel like you're being taken for granted or taken for a ride and he's regressing back to bad behavior, get out immediately, okay? Now let's move on to Nicole and Chris. And let's talk about this dinner sit down. Now, it really just seemed like the first off, listen, Nicole, you are dramatic. I think that goes without saying. When Nicole was talking down to that dinner, y'all, all I heard was like the Days of Our Lives soundtrack, the damn General Hospital soundtrack, like soap opera music. You are so dramatic, okay? And you have the tendency to create problems where there are none, okay? But listen, that being besides the fact, it honestly seemed like, she had more issues in the situation in terms of where they are than he did, okay? And that kind of goes back to his nature of being agreeable and being the golden retriever of the group, as they all call him, right? So in terms of this living situation, y'all, I'm fully behind Nicole on this. I think that if you, Chris, had just given her a roadmap in terms of how it was going to look, I think you would have calmed her anxiety down a lot, okay? But I think that you continually saying, let's just focus on decision day. First off, it was going to be a Monday after the retreat issue that you were going to deal with, okay? Now it's turned into y'all haven't had the conversation, so let's focus on decision day, and then we can talk about it afterwards. You see, so it's kind of like the hopscotch and the Macarena around the truth and around the situation. Like, do you really want to live with her? Is your inability to kind of make even tentative plans, is it based on your fear of, can you actually live with this person? Can you actually go the distance? Or are you just suffering from my issue and it's just a procrastination bug on your back? Okay, like, what is it? But I truly do believe the living situation thing is crucial, because if you think about it, when you go back to your regular life, if you don't have a constant daily reminder of this person and them being around, and you've been together for these past 2 months, you've essentially lived together, you've done daily life together, and if you remove that aspect of it, will you still have the same connection when it's built on such shaky ground as a reality TV, experiment? Okay, so I fully validate her feelings with that. Now, in terms of Chris being agreeable, at first I was kind of like I said before, stop creating problems where they don't exist. But when I kind of dissected it and when she talked about it more, it kind of made a lot of sense, right? Like, I don't want you to be so agreeable with me to the point that you lose yourself in the process, right? Like, who is Chris? What does he want? What does he not want? What triggers him? Like, who are you? You can't get so engrossed in me that you lose you in the process, right? Now, listen, if that's exactly who Chris is, and Chris doesn't have any concerns for himself outside of the welfare of his dogs at every, wake, at every, junction, and at every point in life, then I think that that's great. And I think that, Nicole, you found the perfect person for you, because if the man's only concerns is the welfare of his dogs, you are going to live a very charmed life, right? But in the small chance that you are kind of glossing over your own feelings in order to prioritize hers, I do think that can be a problem for the long run, because I always say you can only be fake for so long before the real person shows up. So in terms of what Clint was saying at that men's thing, I too am waiting for y'all to have y'all first argument, because if you think about it, all the disagreements that have happened in terms of things that y'all have had to overcome, it was really Nicole kind of falling on the sword and finding some sort of solution to move forward, right? So what happens at the point in time where there's an actual problem that Nicole is not going to fall on her sword to fix? Like, is Chris going to step up? What is that going to look like? Is he going to advocate for her feelings in the situation? Is he going to put his by the wayside? who knows? So listen, I don't think, in a conventional scenario that you would marry anybody that you haven't argued with before, because I always say you don't know somebody until mad day or until they do not get their way. So definitely some things to think about, even though on the surface it just looked like Nicole was, creating problems where they didn't exist. And in terms of their decision day, y'all, this is a foregone conclusion. I think they, both should say yes. Yes, Nicole has a lot of idiosyncrasies. Yes, she comes with a lot of, baggage and things she has to unpack in therapy. Yes, Chris can't be her end all and be all in terms of fixing all of her issues. But I think that, her good qualities, her loving nature, her always wanting to find a solution, her always wanting to, advocate for her husband, to stand by her man. I think she has such great qualities that he'd be a fool to let that go. Okay. So I really hope that his, procrastination in terms of their living situation is not because he's having doubts in terms of the longevity of their situation. I just hope that he's just a procrastinator like me. And I think that they both should basically say yes on decision day, because out of all the couples, truthfully, y'all have the most potential to go the distance. So let's see what happens. And y'all, listen, I think that's really all I want to talk about on this episode. So if you liked what I said, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on all social media at DatDamnDasher. And until next time, y'all, I know decision day is upon us. But listen, I would truly implore these couples to really, do some soul searching in their hearts in terms of what they actually want. It's so easy to say yes and to make a yes decision when you're confronted with losing something and you don't necessarily know how you feel about that, okay? But do some soul searching, figure out how you feel, and make a decision based on that. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.